Thank you, Russ. Your introduction is timely because, as you mentioned, I had the good fortune this last week, and actually the last couple weeks, of taking some action to persuade people. How did I do that? Well, I spoke at my Town of Erie meeting, Board of Trustee meeting, because they wanted to take certain actions that would impact me as a citizen. And of course, there is the noisy mob of a group of people that, as Russ stated so eloquently, believe that their rights are greater than our rights, or my rights. It reminded me of Animal Farm, where in the great George Orwell, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. So on behalf of mineral rights owners, I got up and spoke to the trustees. And the first meeting was just kind of a let the citizens speak meeting. It was a fact-finding opportunity. And so I got up there and spoke as a mineral rights owner in the Town of Erie, with the mineral rights being under my home. When I was the HOA president of my little community, Erie Village, we went to the Encana in Denver, and we asked them if we could take their well in our little pocket park and put trees and bushes around it so we couldn't see it anymore. Plus, they had fencing all around it, and the kids were attracted to that rather than repelled. They would climb and play, and we thought we should do something about that. So one of the things we wanted to do was go down there, do this, ask their permission, and see what happened. Long story short, we made our presentation. They said, if you're patient, we'll remove the well. And lo and behold, within less than a year, they did. When they did that, by law, all they had to do was replace the dirt that was there with natural material. And they would have been done. They would have fulfilled their contract. Well, they did one thing further. They went in, dug up underneath, put in a sprinkler system, added grass, and then they gave our community a $120,000 check to refurbish our park. I thought, that is going above and beyond. We put a nice sign in our park thanking Encana. Every time I go into our community center, I'm reminded how generous Encana Oil and Gas is, because there are solar panels that are above the building to heat the pool in the building itself. And I'm in the Optimist Club of Erie, and in the Optimist Club, every year we do a variety of activities for the youth of our community. Easter egg hunt, our Erie, and all the money we raise stays in our community. And Encana is always there to say yes. So I said that at the town meeting. Well, little did I know I was going to be the poster boy for fracking. This is the time call. The picture in the Daily Camera is actually bigger. And kind of a neat juxtaposition. My picture is bigger than Representative Polis. And then the Dalai Lama is on page 3. I'm on page 1. Now, how many people can say their picture is above the fold and bigger than the representative or the Dalai Lama? How cool is that, right? The power to persuade. We all have it within ourselves to go. And Michelle was there for the trustee meeting. And it was a neat experience, but it was also a very frightening experience.
I didn't know if we were going to get out of there alive.
Why? Because, as Russ said, so many people have a misunderstanding of the proper role of government. Now, I don't deny that there was issues at the Pratt well where the people were complaining about the noise and the vibrations and the lights. I think Encana had a problem there, and they didn't address it quick enough for the community's needs. Granted. But as one gentleman from Koga so eloquently said, when you have a restaurant in town and it has a health code violation, you don't shut down all the restaurants in the state, nor the roads to them, or the employees' access to go there to work, or a patron's opportunity to go into a restaurant and enjoy the food. And that struck a chord with me, because people don't understand that oil and gas gives us everything in our modern lives. I don't want to go back to living in a stan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan. I like our modern life. And I believe the standard of value is human life, not pristine environments. Raw materials are there for us to exploit, to take human ingenuity, and also to take that raw material and make life for human life better. One point, in fact, of that is a great book, which I'm going to talk a little bit about, Persuasion, Alec Epstein's Moral Case for Fossil Fuels. And if you haven't read it yet, you need to. More on this in a little bit. So with that, I'd like to further along our meeting with the roles that we have as your Toastmaster. I don't do it all. I have a great team that will provide us with all kinds of good leadership. And in today's meeting, we have a general evaluator who is going to lead us in that, and that's Maureen. No, I'm sorry, it's Russ. You've changed, I'm sorry. Russ, will you share with us your team and what they're going to be doing today?
By the way, Russ Lyman, 4-hour city council meeting, and they wanted to lynch every non-resident there.
Yeah.
We slunk out the back.
More on that in a minute.
Yeah,
Russell.
okay.
Welcome, Russ.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
If you haven't signed up for that, I encourage you to do so. But Alex talks about how fossil fuels are moral in the sense that they are cheap or abundant or they're reliable. And if you think about that, solar energy only works when the sun's out. Wind power only works when the wind is working. And all these other alternatives that people are talking about are all good investments, but they're not affordable. And so if you think about the world as it is today in places like India and Africa and China, where people rely on wood, or even worse, dung, animal dung, to heat their homes and to cook, and the millions of people that can have better lives, that would live longer lives, if they had affordable, abundant, reliable energy to work with. Just think about that for a minute. From a helping the poor perspective, if they had the ability to use something that was like hydropower or coal or natural gas, how much better their lives would be. So it's interesting, this perspective talks from a human perspective rather than a pristine environment perspective. To persuade people to do that, you need the ability to have the power of influence, and our next speaker is going to talk about that. Her evaluator is Charlie, and Charlie's going to share a little bit about Michelle's goal.
Thank you.
Maureen, Michelle, and Em.